Hello and welcome to the video about HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So in this video I'll be showing you how to create a contact form in HTML and CSS with JavaScript. So let's get started then. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder on my desktop. So a new folder, I'm going to call it contact form. And then I am going to open up VS Code. There we go. So then this is something I've probably no, I don't think I've shown you this. So file, and I'm going to open folder, and I'm going to find that on my desktop. So it was called contact form, and I'm going to click select folder. So now I've got my contact form in here. Yes, I trust the authors. So I'm going to add a new index, or we'll call it contact form.html. I'm also going to add a new style sheet, styles.css, and I'm going to add a new JavaScript. And I was thinking about what I called this. I think I'm just going to call it script. .js like that. So I've got all of my things here. Now I am just going to look really quickly and see if I've got live view installed, live server. I'm going to install it. There we go. It's installing. Now what this does is it lets you view your code alongside your live view of your website. So it's all done, all stalled. Okay. Perfect. So let's go back because I'm not a fan of that. Let's close that down. So the first thing is we need to actually create the CSS, no, the HTML that goes with the form. So first thing we need to do is let the document know exactly what type of document it's going to be, exactly what language we're going to be writing in. And then I'm going to go and tell it where to start. So the HTML is going to start here. I'm going to then have a head. So HTML works in sections. So you have a head section, which is where you put all of your, like link it to your CSS file, put your title that appears at the top. Like on a web page, you have that little tab. So it's a title that appears inside the tab. In your body, that's everything that makes up the main body of the website. And then the footer is things like your address, your socials, things like that. So we've got the head. Inside the head, I'm going to have a title like that, and that'll close it. I'm going to call this contact form like that. And then I'm going to link in my CSS here. So this is how we would link in the CSS, which is this here. So I'm going to put link rel equals style sheet. So I'll explain this in a second. I always do this every time. There we go. Style sheet type equals text. I've dotted it again there. CSS, and then we're going to find the href equals styles dot CSS like that. Okay, I've done it again, Anta. There we go. So what we've done here is we've said we want to link a style sheet. A type is going to be text or CSS, and the place to find it is styles.css. So we've literally just put the name of the file. So that's the head done. So I'm going to step out the head for a second. Then we're going to go into the body like that. And in this section, we are going to build the main body, the main contact form. So to do that, we are going to first of all create a class. So div class equals container. Again, every time it's going to be a thing. Move that away. So what we're doing in here is we are basically creating a wrapper that will contain all of the elements that we need for the contact form. We're doing this so we can not only edit and style individual tags, such as the email address text box and things like that, but we can also style it as a whole. So I've done my container. So my next thing is my title. So H1, you're going to have a title that says contact us, like that. And then this is where I'm going to start making the form. So I'm going to type form ID equals, let's call it contact form, like that. And again, it's going to be a thing, contact form. The method is going to be post. Method is going to be post, and the action we're just going to leave blank for now. Equals blank for now. And I'm just going to close it off. And then inside here, I'm going to have a label. For equals name. And then it's going to be, wrong side. And then it's going to be called name. I think I'm going to put a capital in there. Like that. Then I'm going to have an input type so that the user can actually type in. So input type, I'm going to have a text box. I'm going to give it the ID of, we'll do it name. Like that. Then I'm going to give the name of it as name. And then I'm going to give the placeholder as your name, like that. So, and then I'm going to put required on the end and close it. So what's happening in here is you have got a text box. You've got the ID of name, so we can edit it through that. You've got the actual name of it as name. Your placeholder is a thing that's going to be inside of it, and it's going to give the user a hint on what to add into it. And then we're going to make it required. So it's going to be a required field. So then the next thing is I'm going to create a label. Label. So this one is going to be for email. It's going to have the ID of, actually, have I done this right? No, I've not done this right. So we're going to do label for email. So that's right. And then after that, I just need to put my braces like that. I'm going to close it and I'm going to put email because this is going to be the label, it's not the text box. Then, because I'm super lazy, I'm going to copy that, paste it underneath. I'm going to change that to email. Name is going to become email. Placeholder is going to become your email. And it's going to be required. So far we have got a, let's do some comments. Is it that one? No, that's Python. Oh, I know which one it is. Nope, don't know. Is it that one? Of course it is. There's so many. So in here we have a label that tells the user what is expected in the text box. And here we have a text box for the user to enter their name. In here you have, a, tap that in, a label for the email, and then under here you're going to have text box for the user to enter their email. Now, there's one thing we need to add extra, and that's something where they can actually add a message. So we're going to use something called a text area. So underneath here, I'm going to use a label again. I'm going to have it for, for equals message. And then after that, I'm going to put message. And then I'm going to have input type equals, I always do this, there we go. It's going to be, actually no, I'm not, I'm going to do it different. I'm going to use a text area like I said. Text area ID equals message, and then I'm going to use the name as being message, and then I'm going to use the placeholder as being write something, and then required. But before we do required, I am going to just style it. So I'm going to add the height. This is in text styling, and it's going to annoy me like that. Height, and I'm going to set it to 200 px like that. And then the last thing I'm going to make sure that is required, and then I'm going to just do that, and then I'm going to move that terminal in so you can see the whole thing. Then the last thing is I need to create a button. So I need to create a button for when the user hits the submit button. So I've done input type equals submit. And then the value is going to be, did I do it with a capital? Do I want to do it? We'll see what happens. Submit. And then we'll close that, close the form, close the div, and then just before we close the body, we need to link in our script. So we're going to link in our JavaScript. So I'm going to write script src equals script dot js like that, and we know it's linked. Close it just like that. So that's what your HTML should look like. Now let's do some styling. Let's change what it actually looks like so we can make it look a little bit fun. But before we do that, let's just see what it looks like. So I'm going to hit save. Now I'm going to just move down. I'm going to go back into here, which is open there, and I'm going to open up my contact form. This is what it looks like. It's not very pretty at the moment. So let's go back to our VS Code, go into our style.css, and let's select all for a second. Now remember with CSS we have to use the braces like that. I'm going to change the box sizing. I'm going to change that to a border box like that, and then I'm going to jump out of there for now. I'm going to go for the body this time, and I'm going to change it to font family, and I'm going to set it to Arial, Helvetica and sans serif. Then I'm going to jump out, and I'm going to handle the container. So because we've set a class called container, if I can find it here, there we go. We can access it by using the dot, like a full stop, which represents that you're going to be calling a class, and then the container, which is the name of it. I wonder why there's one. Oh, I know why there's one there. So dot container, and I'm going to set this to have a width of 50%. I'm also going to set it to have a margin. That's going to be auto. And I'm going to have padding of 10 px. Now, let's save it and just see if that's done anything. I'm not expecting it to. Oh, it has, it's moved it across. Good. So, next thing. Let's have a look at the form. So, I've grabbed hold of the form. I want a border. If I can spell it. Border. There we go. I want that border to be 3px wide, so like 3px in width. I want it to be solid, and I want it to take on the colour of what F. Remember this right? F1, F1, F1. I think that's right. F1, F1, F1. Yes, that looks about right. There we go. So that's the form. The next thing I want to handle is I want to handle the input, but I just want to handle the email and the name and the text area. So I'm gonna go for input, and then I'm gonna put the type of input that I want to use or grab at this point. I'm gonna put text. Then I'm gonna put input, and then I'm gonna put type equals email, and then I'm gonna put input again, and I'm gonna put type equals text area. Actually, no, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it as just text area, like that. So then I'm going to change the width to 100%. We'll have a look at what these do in a second. I'm going to change the padding to 12px. I'm then obviously going to make a mistake. Oh no, I forgot to do that there. Padding to 12px. Then I'm going to set the border to 1px solid and using the colour CCC. Then again, I've not closed it off there. Then I'm going to change the border radius to 4px, and I'm going to resize to vertical. Let's see what happens. There you go, looking a little bit more like a contact form. So then we're going to attack the labels, so give them, because they look a bit dodgy at the moment. So let's have a look at what the labels are. So, label, I'm going to set the padding to be 12px. I'm going to set the oh, actually no, I've got a little bit more to do. I've only just set the one side of the box to be, or one side of the label to have padding, so it's the top of it. I want to change the rest of it as well. Top, left, right, and then 0px for that one. Then I want to change the display to that it'll be display inline block. And then let's see what that does. It's a little bit better. Got some padding around it so they're not squished up onto each other. Just close some of these off. There we go. Then once we've done the label, let's talk about the submit button. So I'm going to take the input and I'm going to change that to type, and I'm just going to select the submit button. Okay, and then I'm going to change the background colour, and I'm going to change that to hashtag 4C, actually no, CAF50. Like that, so we've got a green submit button. Then I am going to change the colour to white. Take note of that American spelling for colour. Padding is going to be 12px and 12px. And then border name, is going to be none. Border radius is going to be 4px. And the cursor is going to be a pointer, and then the a mistake, and then I want it to float right. So we've changed the background colour to this green colour. We've changed the text colour to white. We've put padding around it as 12 and 12. We've not got a border on it. We've changed the border radius to 4px, it's a little bit thicker. And we've got a cursor that when we hover over it, it becomes a pointer. And we've floated it to the right. Let's see what happens. There we go. So you can see when we hover, you become a pointer. Okay, and then when you click on it, it does something effectively. Now, because we said required, these fields have to be filled out. So even if I do this, that field's got to be filled out, and so is that one. So we've done this submit button. Let's just have a look at the hover element now, because I want it to be able to hover. When we hover over it, I want it to change colour. So let's do that now. Let's do input type equals submit, and then I'm going to do hover. So just changing the hover element of it now. So I'm going to change the background, and I'm going to change that to 45 hashtag 458049. There we go. So we'll see what that looks like. I may change that colour because it looks very similar to the one above it. So then I'm going to change the heading so it makes it look like a little bit more of a heading. So I'm going to change the container with containing the H1, and I'm going to align it, the text, center, and then I'm going to add a margin to the bottom that is 30 px, and we will see what happens. I think I might change that colour. Yeah, it's a little bit darker. I don't know if it's showing up on there. It is a little bit. Right, okay. So now all of that is done, we then need to add the JavaScript. So what we do with the JavaScript is we need to add code to handle the form submission and show a success message to say that the form has actually been sent. So we are going to jump into the script element, and we are going to say contact form equals document.get element by ID, and the ID I want to get, oops, wrong thing, is this one, the contact form. So I'm going to put like that. So we've got the contact form. So sorry, it's not contact, it's const. There we go. You're making a constant, you're making a variable of it. Form dot add, and I want to add an event listener so that when the button is clicked, so we're going to go with the submit button like that, and I want it to be able to handle submit, and then I put my comma in. Yes, I did. So I want to create a function that handles the submit button, and I want it to become an event. And what I want it to do is I want it to event.prevent default. So this is going to be a method that we're going to create in a second. I want it to grab, so I want to create the constant, the variable name as document dot get ID, get element by ID, and I want you to grab the name, and then I want you to grab the value of whatever is being stored inside that element that's called, not that one, the value, like that. Again, just value, we'll get there. Of whatever's inside. So whatever is inside that text box that gets entered into the name, I just want to grab the value. And I'm going to copy it, paste it. I'm going to change name to email. And I'm going to change that one to email. And I'm still going to get the value. And then I'm going to copy it again, and I'm going to change that to message. And I'm going to change that to message. Like that. And then, once all of that's done, I want to create an alert. That says, thank you, and then I want $name. So I'm going to set a variable here that will call in a variable that will get the name of the person. So like, for example, when the person submits their name into the name field, I want to get that name by using .value, and I want to place it into here. So I'm using this variable to grab that name and display it. Feel like I've used the wrong. I always use the wrong. If we mess it up, we can always go back and check it again. For contacting us, we will get back to you as soon as. There we go. Close it, close that, and that is your JavaScript. So let's test it then. So I'm just checking I've saved everything. So I'm going to flick through. Oops. Click save. Click save. Good. So let's refresh it. Type in mj@mj.com. Hi. Click submit. Thank you, MJ, for contacting us. We'll get back to you soon. Perfect. So that is now working. So you have done a simple contact form that uses JavaScript to actually validate it, to send it. The other thing we could do is we could get rid of all entries in here. So we could basically clear the text boxes once the button is clicked. So let's have a look at doing that. So for the input boxes, there's more than one. And what we can do is we can use a for each loop. So we can actually create a loop that means that we can actually get rid of all of the inputs at the same time. So the way we're going to do that is I'm going to create a new constant, a new variable. So I'm going to type const, and I'm going to call it inputs equals document dot query select all. So it's the one below. And I want to select every input. So that would be my name. That would be my email. That's the ones. And then what I want to do is I want to say inputs dot for each. I want you to grab the input and I want you to assign it the value of that. So we're saying, I just need to close my thing there, like that. We're saying inputs, so select all of the text, the values or the fields that are called input, and I want you to do a query select and just select name and email, and I want for each of them I want you to assign the input value as nothing. So let's save it and test it. That one's the one I wanted. So if I do that and I type and we click submit, once we click OK, that name field is gone, but the email hasn't. That's okay. Let's just check our value, our code. Inputs. So let me check I've done it right. Const inputs equals document dot query select all name comma email. Yep. Inputs dot for each input. Feel like that should be correct. So let me just double check it. Just try it again. Might be that I hadn't refreshed. Yeah, I just hadn't refreshed. So name's gone and email is gone. Now this is not gone at the moment, so we need to grab this. So the way we do this is we can just create a new constant. Const text area equals document dot get element by ID, and this time we're going to grab the message. And then this one's a little bit easier in the fact that we can just go text area dot value equals like that. Now let's test it. Hopefully this one works. Let's refresh it. Perfect. So it is a little bit annoying the fact that it disappears after we click on the OK button to get rid of the alert message. You can put it into a separate function. So that's something that I'm going to leave with you to have a go at. That's your challenge. See if you can put the code into a separate function so that it actually disappears before the alert message appears. So that is that's it. That's basically a simple contact form that submits data and shows a success message. Now, obviously, it doesn't submit data anywhere because we've not set that element up yet. However, it functions, it looks like it works, and therefore we have met the goal of this video. So that's it. Happy coding.